Hi, Cameron. Where are we at? All right, let's give it a minute. Hi, Maddie. Hi, Paul. All right, so let's see. Right, how am I going to talk about this? I said to myself, well, earlier I was doing something a bit fun, and I thought, oh, I could talk about that. That would be really fun to talk about. And I thought, nah, it's just silly. And now I'm going to talk about it. So there we go. And it's to do with time or the lack of. Right, so I'm going to tell a little story, and I will get to the point. So earlier today, which is now, this will become relevant. I thought it's so hot and I've been so busy, and I thought I'm going to watch something. So on my computer, I found something to watch, and it's called The Time Traveler's Wife. I don't know if you've seen it. My connection's unstable. Well, let me know if it is unstable. It always says that now. So I watched an episode and a half. Oh, you hear me? All right. Oh, hi, Jahara. I watched an episode and a half of The Time Traveler's Wife. Yeah, it's like kind of a cheesy romance, and it's about time travel. And it's interesting because you can't tell whether you're following the wife's timeline or the husband's lack of timeline, because to him it's just all one big jumble of timeline. There is no timeline. It's just a big mash of now. So after watching it, I sat there sort of in a reverie about this, and I thought I'm going to play because I think it's probably become a bit of an artist. I don't know why. I like to play with mind things. So I imagined that it was. I'm kind of embarrassed talking about this, but anyway, I'm going to go for it. I imagined it being next Sunday, right? So I was like, okay, so it's next Sunday, and I'm looking back at last Sunday, which is actually today, I think. So I was in the next Sunday looking back at today, and then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to put it in another Sunday, because it was easy to do that because I know that I'm going to go do this in half an hour, and so it's kind of the same feeling each Sunday, half an hour before I do this. So most of the time I was spending next Sunday, and then after I sort of thought, oh yeah, that's kind of interesting. Then I thought, hang on a minute, is it next Sunday now? And I'm remembering that I had this thought last Sunday, so I got confused which Sunday it was, because it feels really real because there is no time. You see, there is no time. So imagining that next Sunday is happening here. It's not happening next Sunday. There is no next Sunday. In fact, it could be actually next Sunday now. And I'm imagining that I'm having a memory of the Sunday before. It's hard to tell because it's also jumbled up. So it's a bit like time travel, but as in The Time Traveler's Wife, the guy isn't actually traveling in time. It's all the one moment jumbled up in one big mash. So when we go into thoughts of the past or the future, it feels like we're traveling in time, like time is real, like the past is real and the future is real. And it's actually all happening now. And it was really clear to me when I was trying to figure out whether it was next Sunday or not, because it was felt really real. It's like, yeah, it's next Sunday. And so it wouldn't really matter anyway, because there's only now, there's only what is. I know that sounds a bit crazy, but it was really fun to do it, and I might play with it a bit more because it was really fun. And it just showed me so clearly that all time is now, that there is no actual time as a ongoing process. It all happens here. So, Lisa telling you about this story which happened earlier, there is no earlier, there's just what's happening now. So it wouldn't matter whether I'm telling this, whether it is the story before or whether it is now, because there is no before and after. Excuse me. Anyway, it was I'm going to continue watching it because it's really interesting and it's a nice love story. And I'm not really into love stories, but I thought it was a nice, confusing head mess love story because he's just all over the place and he's visiting her. He's different ages because he can't stop traveling around. All his different ages can't stop traveling around. They even meet up together on occasion. So it's like when we think of ourselves as a child, it's actually now. There is no child. So I'm going to mention next Sunday. So when I say, next Sunday, I'm going to play a little game. So next Sunday, when I talking about next Sunday, it'll be this moment. And so when I remember myself talking about next Sunday, it'll be actually now. So nothing would have moved because nothing moves. I know I'm probably being a bit incoherent, but it's a fun thing. It has no importance to anything. But it demonstrates that time is not linear, that there is no traveling in time. The eternal moment, yeah, it's the eternal moment, and it all happens here. Lisa at 4 didn't happen in the past. It's happening now when I think of it. It's all happening now. It's absolutely an eternal moment, yeah. And I'll try and remember to mention it next week. I missed last week. I listened to the recording today. Yeah, because there is no last week. No, you didn't miss last week because you listened to it today. It's happening here. We'll always die right now, yeah. Can't get out of now, no. Can't get out of it. You can't go anywhere. Even if you go in your imagination, it's still here. Even if you believe you're in next week, which could well be the case. I don't know, because my imagination is quite strong. It wouldn't matter. It just doesn't matter because it's always here. It's always now. Yeah, when I die, well, I'm not gonna die, but I will die. But I'll be dying now. When death happens, it will happen now, not in the future. Death won't happen in the future. There's no death in the future. But we're taught from birth that time is real. And the whole world colludes around that. And I think that the belief in the construct of time and the future and the past is mainly suffering, and the future and the past is mainly suffering. Hi, Wayne. Don't know if you missed my little story. So you'll never meet the future and you'll never meet the past. I don't exist in the past or the future or even now, really. There just is here. There is just now. I don't know whether I exist or not. It's not really relevant. The mind can just go mad about that. I'm just sitting here now. So wherever it happens in my head, Barry said it's still going on. What do you mean? Or what does he mean? What's still going on? Because I know that he used to teach the same thing, that it's always on. It's always on, right. It's always on. The light's always on. The switch is always on. All the time. Relentlessly on. It never goes off. It's never been off, because there is never been. And it's never going to go off, because there is no never going to. It always just is on now. And it's never ever changed. It's never been anything else. We can imagine that it has. We can imagine that, but then we have to imagine it here. We can't imagine before birth or even imagine a baby. We can't imagine before memory. But as my experience tells me, it's never not been. It's never ever not been. And I don't know what that means, but I know it's the case because I can see it. I can see it here now. It's not some sort of, it is a mystery what this is, but it's not a mystery. That experience of it always being on is not a mystery. It just is the case. Nothing has to happen for that, it just is the case. It's just always here. It's you could say it's everybody's experience when they're not distracted by the imagined reality of time. The imagined reality of when I did this, when I did that. When I had a glimpse, oh my God, it's the worst. When I had a glimpse. So the when I had a glimpse is here. There is no glimpse. There is just what is. That's not a glimpse. You can't glimpse into a reality that's somehow hidden. There is no hidden reality. There's just sitting here on this chair, being here. In fact, nothing that can be done or can't be done about it. There's nothing that needs to be done, and nothing's going to happen. It just simply is. It's simply just being here. It's almost too simple for the mind. It's too simple because it's the most obvious thing. It's well, you guys know. You're just sitting there or lying there or whatever you're doing. And that's it. It's always been like that. It always is that. Forever and ever. without there forever being in time. You can't actually experience the movement of time. You can't see it moving. The only thing that's apparent is the ever moving now, the ever changing appearances. It's the only thing that seems to move. But it just moves now. It doesn't move in the next moment or the last moment. It's always here. It's always beautifully unfolding right here. And we imagine like the way we have to be in the future, for instance, what I have to be in the future. Well, it's never going to happen. It's just an idea. It's just a condition that has been imposed upon and has been taken on as a truth. In your living experience of just being here, you can see intelligently, with your intelligence, that tomorrow has never come. It's always now. I missed last week because I was jet lagged. Took a work trip with my co-workers, 4 days. Anyway, on the trip I realised I really don't like my boss and his wife. Right, yeah, many people realise that. It's amazing when you go away with people. It really, can't remember, someone said, I don't know, it could be just one of those things that you really get to know someone when you go on holiday with them, which is why I always travel alone. So I quit. Congratulations. Gave them 2 weeks notice. Have to say, something wants to come in telling me to reconsider since I might regret it in my future. But it feels right to leave now, living in my intuition like someone said last week. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing to consider in the future. This takes care of itself every moment. The eternal moment. Someone said that last week. Someone coined that phrase last week. The eternal moment. Yeah, good for you. Warrior. Something is always happening. Always. You never have to worry about the future because it doesn't come. Hi, John. Yeah, the analyzing. It's just the programming of what if, yeah, wants to come in. Yeah, it's just the programming wants to come in and worry about, well, nothing. It just is right here. Just is. Am I being resentful? Of what? Resentful of what? Holding a grudge. Well, if you don't like your boss and his wife, do you have to suffer being in their presence? That's the question, isn't it? You know, I mean, do you want to stay in a toxic situation? Just do what you do. Just live like, as you said, just live intuitively. That's the only way, really, you can fully be true, I guess, for want of a better word. It's just the control mechanism that says, oh, am I holding a grudge? Analyzing it, you know, maybe I should work out my grudge and all that stuff, you know. Do you want to be in their presence or not? Without working it out? That's the question. Yeah. Keep it simple, really, keep it simple. The little time I have worked for other people, I've always left or got the sack. Yeah, because I can't put it with the boss, so they can't put it with me because I'm too outspoken. I think the last time I worked for somebody who was a bully, to the younger women in the place I worked, and I used to call him out, and he fired me for it. So it's going to leave anyway. Just beat me to it. So, fan, sticky face and a fan in hair. It's amazing how we just complicate everything. Should I? Shouldn't I? I shouldn't have done that. Or maybe I should like look at myself and examine myself. You know, am I doing the right thing? But really, you know, too honest, right? Not willing to withhold. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not. I'm just living in suffering. Just to keep the job. Yeah. Why bother? Hold a grudge and savor it. Some feelings are delicious. just true. This is true. Yeah, this is true. Sometimes it can be delicious. Sometimes when I walk past this neighbour up the road, I walk past him and he's just like, and I just like stick my tongue out, just laugh. Yeah. As long as it's fun, you know. As long as it's like, and it's not like questioning yourself and beating yourself up about, you know, what you know actually to be true. You already know. You already know. Everybody really knows. Do I want to be there? No. Then why stay? You'll be all right. Life will take care of it. Yeah, exactly. Feels like no thanks, bye. Yeah. Yes, it's fresh, isn't it? That's fresh. That's being like recognizing it. It's like, yeah, no, I don't want it. I don't have to justify it. I don't have to justify it. I just don't want it. And that's that. It's like if someone was to give me Brussels sprouts, which I really loathe. I don't have to justify it because people say, well, why don't you like Brussels sprouts? I'm like, because they're disgusting. I'm not going to eat them. Whenever I've taken a fork in the road, I try never to look back. Yeah, that's right. Because the fork in the road is right here. It's right here. Yeah. And you're not even looking back. You're looking at thought forms here. And it's useless. It's just useless. It's just a suffering. Looking back is suffering. Because we only ever really, in those cases, we only look back. I mean, you know, I enjoy telling old funny stories, especially travel stories. I've got quite a good few real bangers. They're fun, you see, they're fun. The tendency of most people is to look back with regret and pain and guilt and suffering. Or look forward with guilt, with worry, control, and fear. But neither of them are real because they're not here. Oh my God, yeah, like what Maddie was saying last week about Barry, without considering what you or others think you should be, how beautiful, how free. Yeah. Because no one's going to do you any favors anyway. No one's going to do you any favors. If you look to others to have approval or to care what they think, they're not going to do you any favors. They're just going to have their projections of what life is. And they're not yours. They're not yours. It's like I don't talk to my family about money, right? Forget it. It's just a waste of time. Because they're always in fear and worry about it. Fear and worry. And the word can't comes up a lot. So I don't bother speaking with them about those some subjects. There's some subjects I don't, or quite a lot of subjects actually, I don't address with my family. Because they're going to come in with their ideas. You know, and they're not, it's not my world. It's just not. Everything just works out. It just always does. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to plan. Well, sometimes I have to plan, like book something. But apart from that, I don't have to worry how it will work out. Will it work out? What's going to happen? Oh, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to worry. I don't have to think about it. It just works out. Because it's only here now. And it's working out. It's working out. This is it working out, being what it is. Yeah, the other bit as well, without considering what you or others think. Yeah. Any thoughts that you have of yourself are just the same as other people's thoughts of yourself or imagined ones. It's all the same thing. It's a projection either from others, imagined others, or an imagined self. Neither have any reality in them. It's just all made up. Yeah, and it's beautiful and it's free. American baseball player who said, "When you come to a fork in the road, take it." Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Don't just stand there worrying about which one's going to work out. Because whichever one you take is going to work out. Because here it is working out. It's working out right here. Right here. This is where it's all worked out. As it is, as itself. Being itself. Being me. Being this, the room, everything is all being worked out. Here it is happening. Actually happening. Miraculously. Like you said, there's only you. Yeah. For me, there's only what is here. There's only me here. There's only this experience here happening. I can never enter into someone else's. I mean, there is no other. There are other beings, of course, but I can never be their experience. People imagine they can. They have an opinion about what you are thinking or feeling, but they can never know. They'll never know. Because there's only them. There's only their universe for them. There's only your universe for you. The two will never cross. There's only just an imagined crossing, but it's not true. And how many times have people told you what you're like or how you're feeling when it's completely untrue? Empathy, isn't that empathy? Yeah, there can be empathy, yeah, or projection. Yeah, it's either one of the two. But sometimes they get it wrong, don't they? My mother used to get it wrong all the time. I'd be sitting there, right, got home from secondary school, which I loathed, but I was so happy to get home. I was so happy to throw myself on the couch and watch Grange Hill, which only a few of you will know, it's this kids program. I was so heavenly to watch this children's soap opera. But my mother would come in and say, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with your face?" Actually, I was really happy to be home and not at school because I really hated school. I left very early. I was 14 when I left school. So she was wrong, and that's what happens. People think they know how you're feeling, and if we go by what other people think we're feeling or thinking, we're screwed. Oh, you're a bit like this, aren't you? You know, that sort of thing. And people who have self-doubt will maybe go, oh, am I like that? You're not like anything, you just are. And that changes every moment, doesn't it? You just are, it just is. And whatever this body and mind are feeling or thinking, it just is. Simple as that. Sure, we all have character traits, for sure. Like my cat has completely different character traits to my next door's neighbour's cat. Completely different. School sucks. Yeah. I really hated it. I really hated it. I loved primary school. Loved primary school. I hated secondary school. I was always in trouble. Always standing outside the headmaster's office. It's a sort of weird prison for children, isn't it? It's a big place. It does even look like prison, our school. The cages where you kept your coats and bags. And you get put in bands, you know, A, B, C, D, E. Oh, awful place. Awful. So getting back to time, funny how you hated school but loved Grange Hill. I know. Is it set in a school? Yeah. It was good though, for the time. Tucker Jenkins. Still remember it. So this question of time, which is where all suffering pretends it exists. So, yeah, it was so good. It's because it wasn't all the boring bits like sitting quietly in a room. Awful. Bits of paper. Oh, God. Yeah, so the simplicity of it, so this idea of time, it's where everything is projected onto. You can never project anything into this. No, not in that way. You might feel pain or laughter. But you see, the suffering of time is believing that it's true and that I regret and I wish and I want and I hope and I try and I want. The suffering of stubbing your toe or my neighbour's friend has just died. You can grieve sadness that that's pain, that that's the body. Yes. Yes, there's just immediate. It's immediate. Yeah, it's like when, as you can tell, I don't have much going on in my life. So I have to use the cat as an example. So my cat likes to fight. Sometimes I'll go up on the roof and him and the evil Buxton from down the road will be tearing each other to shreds. There'll be fur flying, you know. And I'll feel that pounding in my chest. I'll feel the pounding. And then I'll act. I will act and try and sort the situation out so my cat doesn't further get hurt from brute Buxton down the road. But it's immediate, you see. I don't then dwell the whole day on how I should have acted, how I could have stopped it. I wish that Buxton didn't live here. You know, act and kick the other cat. Yeah, I usually throw water at it. Have a little like bucket of water on the roof, and I'll fling it at the cat, the water. So I don't want to hurt the cat, but I want to piss him off. But I can go into the story of, you know, Buxton and the havoc that reigns on my roof. Or I could just not think about it and just act when the action is needed. Even if the action is sometimes ignoring it. I'm thinking, yeah, it doesn't sound too bad, but there's a pitch it gets to, and I think, okay. Then it gets to a really fever pitch, and then the heart will pound and I'll run up to the top of the house and deal with it. So it's immediate. As soon as it's dealt with, it's finished, it's over. It's over. So apply that tiny little thing to the bigger things in life. And then we can see how we spend years regretting or years worrying about next week. People can spend years worrying about a week's time or tomorrow. I kind of enjoy the irony of that. It's not very nice for the person who suffers it, but I used to suffer it. I used to know that suffering. No one's immune. Not really. I've never met anyone immune yet from worrying about tomorrow, next week, what people think of me, what I should do, what I'm going to do with my life, you know, blah, 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 blah. A sad story. Spend years thinking about next week. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's a bit like, I probably will never publish this bit, and I don't. My ex doesn't listen to my channel anyway, as far as I know. But I can't imagine him doing that. So we were together 9 years, and he spent the whole of the 9 years worried I was going to go off with somebody else. 9 years worrying. I never did. I didn't even look at another man. And he spent 9 years worrying about it, to the point that it drove me crazy and drove me away. So that's what can happen, because we think these things are real. He thought that I was real. He thought that me going off with someone was possibly real. He thought that him not being good enough was real. He thought that him being unattractive was real. None of these things were true. Not one of them. Including not being me being real as well. Not in the way he thought. Because he believed in time. He believed in his past, he believed in his suffering, he believed in the stories he told himself about the way he looked. And none of it was true. Suffering only happens in time. You can't suffer here, because there's nothing going on. There's only what's going on is going on. So even when I'm like, my heart's pounding about the cat being torn to shreds by Buxton, I can't suffer because I'm too busy having a pounding heart and pulling the two cats apart. There's no time for suffering. Suffering would only happen if I projected it as the past or future. It can't happen now. It's just impossible. Try suffering now without it having something to do with the projected idea of time, or a projected idea of how real I am. If you marry someone with problems, they're now your problems. Yeah, it's true. It's true. His qualities outweighed his problems, but it was a problem, Dad. It was a problem. Yeah. Especially when I went traveling on my own, which I like to do. There we go. No one owns me. I think that people forget that you can't own another another human being. They think you can, but you can't. None of it was true. What is true without the filter of words and concepts? Nothing in silence. It's just isness. Yes, yes, there's nothing true here, and that's the wonder. That's the magic. So I think I'm going to turn this fan away because it's making my hair really bother me. Side of it. Will it work? Yeah. It is. What is? It is. It is. And there's no words for it. What is on the wall? The painting. The painting. The painting. There's a mural at the back. There's nothing here. These are old boards I'm getting rid of. These two here are birds that I painted above my light switch. Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing. It's old boards that I'm getting rid of. There's nothing on them. I'm throwing them away. I'm doing a clear out of my studio because it's just. Now I'm really hot. Now I don't have the fan. It's either sticky hair or. So here is where the magic is, but it's not magic that you can conceptualize, or it's magic because it can't be described or actualized or realized. It just is. There's nowhere that you can go with just being here. There's nowhere that you can go with it. There's nothing you can do with it. It's been over 40 degrees now for about 6 weeks. But whatever happens in this, and I think this is where it can get sticky with some teachings, is that there are no rules of what you do. There is no right or wrong way for doing. Because we like to do, don't we? Whether it's just sitting in the park, or painting a picture, or watching a movie, or imagining what it's like to be a time traveler, walking the dog, doesn't really matter as it is. But with many teachings, there are rules, about those things. When there are no rules, because there's no rules here. In what is, there are no rules. Rules are all mind-made. This moment doesn't give a toss about rules, not as an actuality, but just as a sense. It doesn't. Whatever happens, happens. It happens without rules. It just happens. just being here, just what is, you can't kind of get it not quite right. I hear that. I used to hear that when I used to listen or to the speakers, or when the people used to send me the speakers, which was quite years ago now. I always remember some saying, no, that's not quite right. No, it's not quite there. It's not quite that. When what is being here is not quite anything. You can't slightly have it or not have it. It just is. It is. You can't. It's not possible to slightly be here or anything. Even if you're thinking about next week, it's still what is. Makes no difference. There's no escape. We're not going to be enlightened tomorrow or even now. Because as Cameron said earlier, where was it? Where is it? We'll always die right now. I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying? What was I relating that to? Like Maddie was saying, but how can you not feel your feelings? You don't have to feel them. They just come and go, and the silence stays. Yeah, the feelings, feelings are just feelings. You don't have to do anything with them. Feeling is like the heat in the room right now. I could have a problem with the heat and get emotional about it, or not. I could have a feeling about something. Like, ow, I didn't. Like if I watch a movie, and I've been watching it. What was it I watched? I read it first and I watched it. Hunger Games. I really enjoyed the book and I really enjoyed the movie. And there was loads of feelings going on. Oh, the injustice of it all. But I didn't make a problem out of those feelings. I didn't try to analyze those feelings and think, should I not have these feelings? Why am I having these feelings? Do I need to go into my past and have a look to why I have these feelings? They're just feelings. I don't get emotional about feelings. The feelings arise and I'm like, oh shit, feelings. Interesting, yeah. The end. The feelings don't need to mean anything. No, you don't need to get emotional about feelings. They'll just come out of nowhere. We're not robots. I can't sit and watch the Hunger Games and just sit there like a stick. It's like a pole watching a film. No, I get right into it. Like, grr, right in there. Katniss Everdeen. Right in there. But I don't make a problem out of my feelings. Why would I? It'd be ridiculous. But that's what we've been taught to do, especially in the spiritual. The more sort of new agey or self-help type things is to make a big deal out of your feelings. Don't need to make a big deal out of feelings. They come and go like the weather. They don't mean anything. We try to make meaning out of everything in order to fix ourselves. We don't need to be fixed. Don't need to be fixed. That's the one thing that I learned. I don't need to be fixed. Holy shit, I don't need to be fixed. When I realised I don't need to be fixed, it was the end of all those feelings. All the feelings about feelings. And there was even less feelings altogether, really. Because most of the feelings were my feelings about my feelings. I need to work out my feelings. I need to, work it out. I need to go and talk about it with somebody and analyse it. And feel bad because I'm having it. Oh my God, there's like no end to that. It's like the endless porridge pot. It's that kid story. Stop the porridge from overflowing. It keeps going on and on and on. No end to it. Don't stop the porridge pot. Just dump the pot. I don't need to be fixed, and neither do my arsehole co-workers. Just bye. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Bye. You can't fix people anyway. You can't fix them. You can offer something, maybe. Someone might hear that if they're open, if there's this meeting, with a friend or somebody, and they're like, oh, I feel like this, and you come, you just go, pop, and it's the right time, the right place. It's the way it works. You can't try and fix people. It's got to be nicely. The inspiration and the openness to inspiration need to happen simultaneously somehow. Otherwise, forget it. No one needs to be fixed anyway. Nobody needs to be fixed. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. People, friends who still feel they need to be fixed. What they need to possibly realise is that they don't need to be fixed. Then it'll all be fixed. It'll all be fixed when they realise they need to fix it. It's all just stories. I need to be fixed as a story. The I that needs to be fixed as a story. It's all a one big story. There's only what is, and nothing fits into it. Nothing fits into what is. And yet it is everything. But you can't fit one thing to it. That's why you can't get it slightly right. No, it's not quite right. It's absolutely complete. This is complete. This moment is utterly complete. So good. So yeah, we try to fix the arsehole co-workers, or we try to fix ourselves to fit in with the arsehole co-workers. Whereas, like I said earlier, the fork in the road, take it. Don't look back. And there's nothing to regret, you see. That's the wonderful thing. There's nothing to regret. There's nothing. There's only what is now. We only regret what's now appearing as a memory. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it didn't happen in time. This is magical sort of unfolding that all happens at once. It's amazing. I can't figure it out, but there's just a sense you get out of it, It's not there back in days, months, years. It's not like that. It's just here, and yet it's been lived out as well. It's such a strange contradiction, and yet it seems to work. And I don't need to figure it out. But it's nice to play with it sometimes. Like I was saying at the beginning about playing with time. It doesn't exist. So you can't play with it because it doesn't exist, you see. You can play with it. Really just playing in the here and now is not actually playing in time at all. It's actually all it's doing is showing me that there's only this, and all the ideas of anywhere else it's just here. It isn't somewhere else. It's funny how I spend my whole life looking for what is, and it turns out that it's just what is. I know, right? It's the most ironic thing. We're looking for home, we're looking for peace, for home, to the end of my suffering, to the end of my feelings, my emotions about my feelings. And, oh, this turgid swamp. So I'm looking for what is. I know it's like somehow we know it is like this timeless moment. This timeless moment is what I'm looking for, and yet you can't look for it. It's the irony of it. You can't look for what is. It just turns out that, yeah, it's always here. It's always here. And I think it's discombobulating for the mind, because the mind goes, I'm boring. I want the angels' trumpets and the flashing lights, and, to have the one beam of God's life beamed on me. When there is only this, there's only me here. There's only you there. That's all it is. That's it. That's it. Too obvious, as they say. Yeah, it's too obvious. It's so obvious you can't see it. You can't even see the obvious. It just is. It's just like, oh. And that's, that's, the mind can't grasp it. This is it. Yeah. This is it. This is it. This is it. But it's not what I want, says the mind. Used to listen to dead people to see if it went anywhere. And after listening, couldn't shake the feeling that their ideas were a copy of a copy of a copy. Interesting. Interesting. I really hope that you could make it to Zoom one time, because I'd really like to talk about this thing. Used to listen to dead people, see if it went anywhere. Well, you're a braver man than me. I wouldn't like this. I'm a bit spooked when it comes to ghosts. I think it's a childhood thing, watching too many Hammer House. But after listening, couldn't shake the feeling, the idea that it was a copy of a copy of a copy. Yeah. Yeah, what even is it? What even is it? All this clairaudience and clairvoyance, and do we even know what that is? What is actually being listened to? Are there any dead people? Are there any dead people? I don't think there are. I'm not sure. I just don't know. But if you listen to Jason, you'll know that everything's on repeat, right? Everything's on repeat. Which is fascinating. Time going nowhere. No time going nowhere. Just on a kind of a weird loop that always is here. I'd like to talk to Jason about that at some point. I used to email him, but I know that he's like, Jason Brashears is not this subject at all. He's a chronologist. He's a chronologist, a very interesting chronologist. Jason Brashears. His channel is called Archaix, Archaix, and it's proper left field stuff, which I just love. I love this guy. He's got this thick Texan accent. He's really like amazing, actually, a real amazing character, and super smart, you know, academically ridiculously smart, right? At Harley Davidson, you know, he's just great. He's just great. Anyway, I'm gonna go. And it was great. We went, you know, it was nice to go a little bit left field there and go into other stuff, into time. It's such an interesting subject. It's like a fake reality, and yet dominates people's lives so so strongly, so strongly. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all your interaction. It's really fun, really fun to be with you guys. All right, lots of love. Bye.